Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Jeliali. In this incarnation, I am here today to talk about the energies of this next week from September 1st until September 7th. We are rising in energy towards the lunar eclipse in Pisces that I already did a video talking about that. And well, it could be a week that tests our level of flexibility in front of the things that are happening. And therefore, it is also very important to understand that independently of how you are perceiving situations, I am referring that there are people that could be dealing with finals, with endings, and cuts that are desired, that are aligned with what they want. Even they could generate uncertainty, because every time that we talk about eclipses, we are talking about evolutionary process that are leading us to the unknown. But there are other people that are dealing with circumstances that go beyond their desires and expectations, and these are days of revelations, or moments where we could get in touch with insights. But also there are processes that we have to transit, and perhaps you are not understanding entirely how they have a very positive and evolutionary purpose, and they are putting us in the route where we really need to go through to produce an advancement in our lives. Something that I forgot to mention yesterday, that I was talking about the symptoms of the eclipses. There is no a magic formula, to live life. But well, if you suddenly are feeling very, very low energy, or this dizziness that many people is feeling right now, that is not linked with a condition, please apply discernment to that. It is not a specific condition in the body. Well, that could be a signal that you are in a mental, physical, or about to take certain action, mental physical space, or about to take certain actions that are not aligned with your soul. This is very important. So we are going to go in order as always, and we start in a strong way because Saturn, which is a slow planet related to responsibility, lessons of maturity, and it is the planet that also eventually leads us to materialize the fruits of our sustained labor, of having cultivated patience. I am talking in a very strange way, as always, but well, you are going to get used to this. After operating in coherence with our inner authority, which is our soul, the divine in us, well, Saturn, which is already retrograde, turns back to Pisces, and it is going to stay in this sign until February 13th, which enters in Aries in a definite way. I mean, it is going to go through finally its transit. So this passage is indicating that in that house of our natal chart, where we have right now the degree 29 of Pisces, there is a very important cycle that is closing, and we have to, rectifying or incorporate a lesson. So in February, we can begin an entire different cycle with the conjunction between Saturn and Neptune in Aries, which is the exact one and the official one, because they have been in conjunction the whole 2025. So these could also, you can identify this because that situation is related to something that you have been learning since 2023. Could be an experience that brought its frustrations, a construction that you have felt like very slow. In Pisces, we are talking about a profound inner coherence, sustaining ourselves in a path, listening to that inner voice, attending our intuition, even that goes beyond what is being shown in the world of the matter. And in these previous days that Saturn was already stationary, perhaps you could have felt again that something is not concluding yet, that it is coming once and again, a challenge in that area. But observe more than anything, what do you need to correct? What do you need to assimilate or to develop maturity in, emotionally and in actions, in the reality? Because if you put the focus in that point, the path is going to be opened, and you can finally leave behind something, a process that was heavy but brought a lot of lessons, learnings. So we are going to continue to talk about Saturn because it is a planet very active in both eclipses, especially in the Virgo one, that is the second of this eclipse season. We usually have two eclipses. Therefore, everything that is related to its energy is going to be very present. Patience, compassion, and responsibility of your part in the processes is very important, even though many people don't want to listen about patience anymore. It is very important to cultivate this. So on September 2nd, Mercury enters Virgo, moves out from Leo, enters Virgo, and at the time it enters there, creates a square with Uranus in Gemini. Now, Uranus, which is a transpersonal, another slow planet, starts to be retrograde this week too. So it is already stationary. Therefore, we have a very strong Saturn, a very strong Uranus in the context of the energy Pisces Virgo of the eclipse. Mutable signs are very, very shaky these days. And, Mercury in Virgo, which is the regent of the South Node right now, and of the Sun that is going through Virgo. We couldn't have a lunar eclipse in Pisces without the Sun in Virgo. So Mercury has this mentally process of analyzing things. There is a seeking of order, of detection of what isn't working, so we can optimize a project, a relationship, the path, life. We can apply this to whatever thing. And in that sense, it could offer us a clarity of discernment that is very, very important regarding, I am understanding that this dynamic, this habit, it is something that it isn't working anymore, but this one, it is really functioning, and this other habit, it is something that I have to apply. There is an intelligence to adapt to the experiences in the matter, to find practical ways of going through them. But as I anticipated in the video of the eclipse, it also has its shadows, and it is going to make a conjunction with the South Node. It is in a square with Uranus. So this square with Uranus, we experimented this in August 23rd in the new moon in Virgo with the Sun in Virgo. This means that week started to move certain things, certain changes, situations were presenting that are telling us there is an obsolete way of thought. There is a form of approaching certain projects of life that has to change. We have to innovate. And the squares with Uranus are, many times presenting a conflict, whether this is an inner conflict, an external conflict, or both, which is the way that life indicates us what we need to change. This transit could also bring like sudden insights, news, or information that is breaking with those obsolete parts in our mental structure. On September 4th, I'm going to expand on all of those things. This is for you to understand the general context of the week. On September 4th, Jupiter in Cancer is going to perfect the trine with the North Node in Pisces and the sextile with the South Node in Virgo. And that same day, Mars in Libra perfects the square with Jupiter in Cancer. So I mentioned this in the video of the eclipse too. We are going to feel all of these energies present the whole week. I am dividing things, but that is not how the energy works. Okay, great opportunities of generating expansion could be traveling, could be projects that if they have a purpose and no one outside could tell you, oh, okay, this has a divine purpose for you. But if you can recognize that is something that is nourishing you inwards, that is, setting a important basis in your emotional world, and it is not a way of escaping of your experience, then that is the way. I am saying this because in first place, the presence of Pisces in the eclipse, I was telling you that it is very related with mechanisms of escapism in its shadow, but also because Mars is in Libra creating a square with Jupiter in Cancer, which could present this tendency to act from on something that could offer an immediate satisfaction, or taking decisions in this optimism, Jupiterian optimism that denies reality. So especially in relationships, but you could apply this to other areas. And the opposite polarity, as I was saying in that video, it is dealing with a new situation evolutionary situation, but there could be doubts. There is something that we have to rebalance in ourselves to make this re-encounter of parts that could be fragmented, to be able to take that decision and to recognize this, in which place you are stepping into. We have to be willing to listen to our inner truth. Well, I am going to expand on this later. September 6th, Uranus starts the retrogradation in the degree 1 week 27 minutes of Gemini until February 3rd, that awakens in the degree 27 of Taurus. Uranus has still the last passage in Taurus. So we're going to talk about this first phase in Gemini that goes until November 7th of this 2025. And well, this is the first retrogradation in this sign. We're going to review what we have been dealing, the things that have been manifesting in that area of our natal chart from July till this point. Changes that we have to generate in other ways, ideas to reconsider. And as every transpersonal that starts the retrogradation, we're going to feel it a lot. And this could present this will of moving something that was stagnated, liberating ourselves from a particular situation, and having to understand that it is our perception, the one that has to change over that situation, so we can make different moves. The change starts inside. That is why that is the invitation of the retrogradation, especially when everything is based on this projection to the outside. Everything on the outside should change. Yes, it could change, but we have to go inwards, and there are other experiences that are part of the process that we cannot force right now. So Uranus being retrograde could mean this urgency many times that our mind is creating, and it is shadow. It is about thinking about 2,000 and things that don't have a true purpose, overcharging ourselves of thoughts, of information. So descending to the body is a key, because in that contact we can observe our mind and to really discern Mercury in Virgo if that truly has a function that contributes, those mental focuses. And also this transit could present disruptions in the individual and collective level, ideas and perceptions that are that are in a confrontation inside with other people, etc. So on September 7th, we have the eclipse. You have the video already there. I wanted to put the emphasis, that this information, it is not to be over-focused in the future, because that could be other shadow of Uranus in Gemini. It is to detect yourselves, to recognize, to seek for the best resolution while you are going the present moment. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.